What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? It's your girl, your deep and knowledge, Lady Mocha. Represent Mocha's Cafe de Paris. Well, I'm always serving you wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual awareness. Big ups to all of my subscribers. Again, I just reached my plateau of 4,000 subscribers. Well, I'm a little over 4,000 subscribers. Definitely want to appreciate each and every one of you guys, you ladies. Y'all been sharing my content. Y'all been putting other people on to my channel, and I appreciate y'all so much. And again, I want to thank y'all for all of your support. So I definitely want to go right in today's topic. I want to talk about the situation with Meagan Good and husband Devon Franklin, who was married for 9 years of marriage. Now, I've been listening and sitting up in the cut. I've been listening to a lot of these male content creators. They've been going in on Meagan Good, pretty much trashing her because in their mind, Devon Franklin gives these high value man vibes. He's, clean cut guy, always had a pretty good reputation for the most part. He's a pastor. He's a provider. He makes money. He hasn't been caught up in scandals. You never really heard anything really negative about him surrounding his name or his character. So in the eyes of men and some women, they felt as if Pastor Devon Franklin was the ideal husband that most women should desire to have, should have the need to desire, at least, because in their mind he is the total package. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people was very disgusted with Meagan Good when she was the one who decided to pull the plug on this 9-year marriage. And everybody looked at her sideways. Basically, after the divorce, she wasted no time. She started putting back on her thought wardrobe, all on the red carpets, just happy and joyous, single, ready to mingle. While Devon Franklin, on the other hand, doesn't appear to be taking his divorce as lightly as she has. He hasn't been too much on the scene, and when he has been on the scene, you haven't been seeing him parading it and just seem to be overjoyed with the divorce. You can tell he's pretty a little distraught, and he's keeping his composure as a decent person should. He hasn't been trashing his ex-wife on the blogs, and neither one of them have been. But you can tell Meagan feels free, like she just made parole. She's happy. She doesn't have to put up this front and be this perfect pastor's first lady wife. She's free from all of that now. So nevertheless, you have all of these bloggers, you have a lot of these guys pretty much trashing her. They gave her all of these accolades and praises as long as she was the wife of Devon Franklin. She was one of those black women who made the right choice, who picked a black man who has some substance. So she was getting a lot of knowledge and praise and worship service from the brothers as long as she was married to Devon Franklin. And because she decided to stop pretending to be happy, stop bringing misery to this man's life, she decided to take the higher road and say, you know what? This is not for me. I realized this after 9 years. I tried to put up this front. I tried to be the first lady. I tried to walk this walk that I know I'm not happy doing, and she finally got tired of pretending. Devon Franklin would have went on as long as she allowed it, because being a pastor and being a man of God, it's a lot of pressure on you to preserve your image. Even if your marriage is going through a turmoil or your wife appears to be unhappy with you, he was willing to fight, make it work, trust in God that somehow, some way, God will give her a change of heart and, talk to her and give her that conviction of wanting to be the wife he was seeking. And nevertheless, it didn't work out that way because let's be honest, have a lot of these religious people. They think they can pray their way through everything. We just going to pray for God to fix it. We just going to pray for God to work it out. And nevertheless, in most cases, God does have the ability to restore and mend a marriage even when it's at its worst. But God will also give you signs and also let you know that, you pick this man or woman based off your own flesh. You didn't consent with me. You didn't pray about it before you chose this man or you chose this woman. And now that the boat is rocking a little, you want to pray for your wife. You want to pray for your husband that never was designed to be your wife or your husband to begin with, but because you went on the flesh, meaning you went on that woman's physical attributes. And I strongly believe that is what Devon Franklin did. I don't know him personally. As a person, I don't know neither one of them. Never even met with them for coffee. But what I do believe is Devon Franklin went on how Megan Good looked, because of course she's beautiful, she's stunning, she has a body to die for. The chick is hella bad. So him being a man of God, he made decisions based on her physical attributes, because if he really had that spiritual discernment, he would have known, yes, this is a stunning woman, but I know this woman does not want to fit into my lifestyle. She's not going to be a first lady. She's not going to be a pastor, a pastor's wife, going with me to every church congregation, every church conference. It takes a special woman that's gifted and has that level of patience to be able to be with a man that is living a godly lifestyle, because once you decide to marry into this religious lifestyle and you decide to build a marital union with a man of God, your lifestyle changes. You cannot do what other women do. You cannot be thotting it out of the club. You cannot be sipping and drinking wine. Let's face it. The most judgmental people on this earth are religious people. They watch how you walk. They watch your godly walk. They look for any flaw. They look for you to do anything outside the will of God to get them to question your walk with God and get them to question your position as first lady of a pastor. So when you decide to partake in a religious marriage to a husband that is a pastor, a lot of things are off limits. And this is very hard for young women who are still young, who are lively, who don't have that same seriousness as far as committing to God, because there are some young women who have a love for ministry, have a love for God, and they are willing to put away these worldly devices, meaning dressing a certain way to catch men, hanging out with single friends at the club. They realize that having a relationship with God is more important than trying to get attention from men, trying to get attention from the world. So you do have some young women out there that are married and have actually given up that worldly lifestyle. And not only because the man they wanted forced them to, but this was something they was willing to do. So you not only, if you decide to be with a man that's a pastor, not only do you have to change your lifestyle because you're married to him, you have to have the desire to change it. You have to have the will to change it. In other words, you cannot just want to be a first lady because this man has a total package. He's a pastor. He's attractive. There are women in the church who want him. He's a provider. Because if you get with him based off of these things and you're not willing to really change your life over to submit to him and God, you're going to only make yourself miserable, and you're definitely going to make him miserable. And it's going to cause a lot of tension in the church. Now, getting back to this point at hand, everybody cannot be a first lady. Everybody's dragging Megan Good, and for whatever reason they choose to, again, it's all about pushing their narratives that black women don't know a good black man when they see one, and especially now that she's been out dating these guys, dating these rappers. She's dating now, and she has every right to. She's divorced. She's a free woman, and Franklin, Pastor Franklin, he's a free man. Now, I'm pretty sure if they caught Pastor Franklin out having dinner with K. Michelle or somebody who they felt like was a low budget, a low value, they probably wouldn't have said much about it. But because it's Megan Good who's out here and she's dating these, underground, what they call mumble rappers or whatever, she just was caught by paparazzi recently with some rapper, and a lot of the bloggers got a hold of it, and they're making a bit skeptical of it, and basically saying, look at her, she downgraded. She went from a pastor to a rapper. She went from a Benz, to a Chevy. Matter of fact, the rapper's name was Disaster. Now, mind you, she's just dating. She didn't get pregnant from this guy. She didn't marry this guy. And everybody was all over it. Like, God, dog, that's the best you can do. And right now, she's just out having fun. She's doing her thing. She's not pregnant from nobody. You know what I mean? She's still young and lively. She has no kids. She has no responsibilities. She does not belong to Devon Franklin anymore. So she's a grown-ass woman. She's free to do what the hell she wants to do. And same thing with Devon Franklin. If Devon Franklin decided to marry a prostitute and help her convert her life and be a first lady, guess what? He's a grown-ass man. He has that right to do that. So again, everybody wants to just focus on one thing that Meagan Good downgraded. And actually, she saved him a lot of headaches, because you know how many women have left their husbands after 4 kids later. Now they know they paid up. They're going to get alimony. They're going to get child support. You have some women who go about leaving men, and when they do it in a shady manner. They wait till they have accumulated so many kids. They wait after they done put in so many years where they can collect checks for the rest of their days, even after the divorce is sealed and officialized. These women will still make money off of these men. Now here it is, a woman who has decided to not make this man miserable no more, or herself miserable. She left it clean cut. She didn't ask for anything. They both agreed, we're not going to do no money. We're not going to be no spousal support. He ain't got to worry about no child support. And yet men are still dragging her. When you've had other women who have done far worse. Look at Scottie Pippen's wife. They even divorced. And she was already out there caught up with Future, dealing with some other young NBA athlete. And, these guys didn't too much make a big issue out of it. You know what I mean? I'll say probably 1 or 2 male content creators said something about it. But getting to the issue at hand, I'm not so much concerned about Meagan divorcing him and leaving him, and Devon Franklin. Everybody's perceiving him as this high value man. How dare Meagan Good walk away from this man of substance, of notoriety? He has so much going for him. Why would Meagan Good dare downgrade and start dating these underground rappers? Well, let me give you a little bit more insight. First of all, being a first lady is not for everybody. It's not for everybody. And the reason I know this, I actually had 2 encounters with women that were pastor wives. One of them was my stepmother, and another one was a friend of mine. And I can tell that these women were very miserable and frustrated with fulfilling this role, because there is so much expected of you. As a first lady, you have to hold yourself to such a high standard. You cannot get caught, being at the wrong place at the wrong time. You're dealing with a very religious lifestyle. And being a first lady, you have to conduct yourself on such a high level of elegance. And again, only women who willingly want to live for God, they don't have a hard time doing this. Women who truly support their pastors, they don't have a hard time doing this. Older women who have already had their share of being Jezebels back in the day, they don't have a problem doing this. All women who have been with their pastor husbands since they were very young and now they are older, they are the ones that don't have a problem with this type of lifestyle, because they've grown into it and they have accustomed themselves to doing it. But when you have these young women, and not even young women, when you have women that aren't fully committed to living a godly lifestyle, they are going to be miserable in a marriage, or they're going to make that man miserable in the marriage. Or it could be both. She's going to be miserable, and because she's miserable, she's going to make him miserable. Even though a lot of people are trashing the both of them, I respect, especially Megan Good, I respect that she was willing enough to walk away instead of giving this man high hopes that she was going to be with him forever. Eventually, they was going to have children. Now he can give himself to a woman who really wants that. He doesn't have to struggle for it. She will willingly be his first lady. She will willingly have children from him. A woman that's not so worried or concerned about losing her shape or getting stretch marks to where she doesn't want to birth children. Let's face it, a lot of these young women, they not about that life. They know pregnancy changes your body. And unless you know you're going to be with that man for the rest of your life or the rest of your days, you know, they don't want to make such a permanent decision. But nevertheless, being a first lady is not easy. You have to constantly be willing to give your time to your husband in his ministry. And that may, in some cases, may even be where you have to be willing to give up all of these worldly things. In other words, you can't be to the club, you know, you can't drink alcohol, you can't drink wine, you know, you can't wear certain clothes, you know, because as a pastor's wife, people expect you to conduct yourself a certain way. And I'm sure with Megan Good, being young and being beautiful, she probably had a lot of these women in these churches giving her the side eye. Every time she wore something a little tight, every time she wore something, you know, a little too revealing, not understanding as a first lady, you have to cover up at all times, not understanding the requirements of being a first lady. You could be married to a pastor, but unless you understand, you know, how you supposed to conduct yourself as a first lady, you know, you can actually bring more problems to yourself. And I'm sure, again, with Megan Good, she probably had all of these women, especially these older women, in these churches, these mega churches, looking at her with the side eye. Why is she wearing her stilettos so high? Why is she wearing that dress so tight? You know, church women, church people in general are the most judgmental individuals. You have some of these older women who still feel like, as a first lady, you're supposed to dress like a pilgrim. You're supposed to be wearing dresses past your kneecaps. They feel like you're not supposed to wear a little bit of lipstick, eyeliner. You're not supposed to wear makeup. You're not supposed to wear long braids. You have a lot of these older women who have been practicing Christianity for the majority of their life, and they are still going by the first principles back in 1970, where you're supposed to only wear dresses, not pants. You're supposed to wear slips longer than your dresses. You know, you're not supposed to wear dresses above your kneecap. You know, you're not supposed to wear dresses that have spaghetti straps or anything. And I do agree that as a woman of God, you have to dress a certain way, but some of these old religified people, they really can take stuff very far. So I'm pretty certain that Megan Good probably struggled trying to conduct herself as a first lady and constantly having to deal with ridicule, having to deal with these older women probably pulling her aside, saying, you know, as a pastor's wife, you shouldn't be dressed like that. Or if they didn't say anything to her, they're giving her the side eye. As a woman, you can tell when another woman is giving you a side eye and they feeling some type of way. And let me tell you something. Some of these older women in these churches are nasty. They have terrible attitudes. They don't care how they come out their mouth. You know, they swear because they've been with the Lord for 30 plus years. They have all the answers to tell you what it takes to be a first lady. So Megan Good, most likely, she dealt with a lot of that. She probably dealt with a lot of criticism. She probably had to put up this persona like she was happy so people wouldn't guess or pinpoint that there was problems in their marriage. Being a first lady, you have to put in a lot of time with your husband within his church, meaning he has all these conferences, he has all these sermons he has to do, he has these Bible studies, he have church. A pastor, it's a lot that he is required to do to keep his church in good standing and to maintain his reputation as a pastor, as a minister in good standing. So he has to put a lot of time and dedication into his church. Not only into his church, he has to put a lot of time and dedication into his church members. And with all of that, as a wife, you are going to be required to be on his side. There's no way a pastor can keep going to church every Sunday, going to every pastor's reunion or revival service or whatever, and every time his church members look around, his wife isn't with him. He can't keep going to church on the pulpit, giving a good word, talking about marriage, talking about love, and yet his members are noticing his wife is not there. His wife is constantly a no-show. When it gets to the point where members start asking, well, how's Miss Franklin? And you know these old people, they definitely don't have no filter with what they say. Well, how's Miss Franklin? We haven't seen her in a couple of months now. It's not right for you to be coming to this church by yourself and Miss Franklin ain't with you supporting you. She's the first lady. Why is the first lady not here supporting you, Pastor Franklin? No, these old biddies be the first one to say something. And I read in an article somewhere where that's actually what happened. And I mentioned that on my last content that I did pertaining to their divorce. I said, I guarantee you, she probably stopped going to that church because she couldn't take it. And basically, one of the articles I read, that's what she stated was pretty much going on. You know, she was constantly being scrutinized. You're constantly on the radar. These overly religified women and men, especially women, because the men aren't as judgmental, but women that claim to be Christians, they are the most judgmental pigeons I have ever seen. They're constantly gossiping. As much as they pretend to know the Lord, as much as they claim they serve the Lord, these are the main ones who are constantly gossiping, criticizing, not pulling this late young woman aside, not out in front of other people where people could see she getting pulled aside, not talking to her indiscreet and saying, you know, we just kind of noticed that you've been having some issues, you know, being present with your husband. You know, I've been the first lady. I understand. It must not be easy. Is there any way we can help you? Is there any way you think we can kind of mentor you or to, you know, assist you in being able to fulfill this role? Because sometimes people just need guidance, you know. No one did that. And because of her husband having this outstanding, well, ex-husband having this outstanding reputation as a pastor, people looked for her to hold a certain level of perfectionism. And I believe it became too much. It became too much having to endure the criticism, constantly going to every church function. Let's face it, if you don't have that commitment to God, being the first lady will wear you out very quick. You have, if you do go to a church, you'll notice a lot of these first ladies, they go to every event with their husbands. They're at their husband's side at every conference, at every meeting, every service, which means you really don't have too much of a social life. And again, you have to be a woman that's so committed to God, you're not going to miss or desire any of those things. I think Megan started missing her friends, missing just being her, being herself. You know, people can say what they want to say. They feel like, you know, she's back to her Jezebel ways. She left a good man and this and that. But she would have only made matters worse had she stayed. And truth be told, it wouldn't have been fair to Franklin to have a woman that's just with him because of who he is and how he could provide, and her heart not be in it. And Megan Good clearly showed her heart was not in it. Devon Franklin is going to have to find a woman that truly and sincerely wants to live for God. Not a woman who's pretty and cute and he think he can convert her into living for God. She has to be a woman who's already practicing that lifestyle. Then the only part he'll have to deal with from there is just making sure that she's on the same accord as far as being his companion. Being a first lady, you can no longer fit in with the worldly crowd. You just can't. Also, you have to be very mindful with how you deal with confrontation. You can't be going back and forth. You can't get into arguing with these church folks. You can't be snapping at them because they get out of pocket with you. This is something that it takes a really spiritual, mature, virtuous woman to do. Not all women are qualified to be first ladies. Especially when you got a career going now. You got to look at Megan Good also is still an actress. So she's trying to be a first lady, but at the same token, she's doing, these sex scenes. I know she had a show which I kind of enjoyed called Harlem, in which she was doing certain sex scenes with other guys. Now, mind you, you're doing this on the outside. And even though this is just a job, this is something you've been doing before you got married. These judgmental Christian church, put it this way, I'm going to say church folks, not Christians. Church folks know how to deal with people out of love. Well, for Christians know how to deal with people in love. Church folks, they just know how to criticize. That is all they do. There's a difference between being a Christian and being a church folk. You got those who just go to church, and then you got those who sincerely have a commitment to God that's in the church and outside the church. You have church folks that are more concerned with getting close to the pastor and having membership access to things and a popularity or a fashion show. Everybody, it's a stating that you can be in the church, but it doesn't mean the church is in you. And that's the difference between, that's probably the better analogy I should have used. Yeah, church folks, they don't just go to the church. I mean, Christian folks, they don't just go to the church is in them. Church folks, they go to church, but the church is not in them. That's the best analogy I can use to explain the difference between the two. So, I think Megan Good realized it just wasn't for her. And the other mistake that Devon Franklin was making, and a lot of these content creators didn't peep it, but he was supporting some of his wives' worldly views. Like the last video I did, I showed y'all the clip when one of the ladies in the audience asked him, well, she basically put Megan Good on blast, saying, how can you be a first lady? How can you be a pastor's wife? But when I was in a grocery store and I saw a magazine cover of you with your breast showing, and as a woman of God, you can't just call yourself to be a woman of God. You actually have to walk that walk. Now, the lady was right. She was correct. As a first lady, as a pastor's wife, you cannot be doing photo shoots showing your tits and your butt. You can't do it. However, Pastor Devon Franklin felt how uncomfortable his wife was. Like a Jada Pinkett situation. Okay, only difference was he didn't go up and box the lady. He saw how cringing his wife was, getting ridiculed by a woman in the audience full of people, a conference full of people. He was embarrassed for her, and he saw her embarrassed. So he steps in and intervenes and said, no, what we not going to do is criticize my wife about what she wears, how she dresses. No, she can wear what she wants to wear. Amen. She can dress how she wants to dress. Amen. If y'all don't believe me, look up the video. Devon Franklin defends Megan Good, and you will see it. Now, lady was telling her right, but the manner in which she did it, Devon Franklin knew the lady was right too, but he had to do what's called damage control and diffuse the situation. And then after that, he kisses his wife in front of the audience, assuring her that I got your back. I'm not going to let these church folks bash you and attack you. So he felt the need to defend his wife, you know. He wasn't nasty about it, but you could tell he got offended. But the lady was telling the truth. Now, I noticed when he said that, no, she can wear what she wants to wear. She could dress how she wants to dress. Several women got up in the audience and started clapping, because you know what that meant? That meant now we don't have to do things the way the word requires us to do it. Our own pastor is saying his wife can dress and wear what she wants to wear. So that basically is an indication for us that we can dress and wear what we want to wear as well. So he didn't realize, but when he co-signed on that, and that gave other women within the church who's supposed to be learning how to conduct themselves in the manner of a virtuous woman, he basically tainted that when there was a woman who righteously so told him and his wife, and she didn't just go in on her. She said how beautiful Megan Good was. She gave her flowers. She didn't just go in and defend her. But nevertheless, Devin Franklin, he co-signed on that. So while everybody wants to jump on Megan Good, former wife of Devin Franklin, keep in mind, he kept bending the rules to appease his wife's worldly ways. And that's why she got more and more distance following his religious practices. If anything, he should have been trying to see if there was women, like the older Christian women. He should have signed somebody to be like a spiritual mentor. But again, this would have had to been on the notion of her wanting to follow God. Okay? But he co-signed on that. And I remember he did an Instagram when she performed some type of sex scene or something in that series Harlem, and he co-signed on that. Babe, you did a good job. You did a wonderful job. Franklin so badly wanted his wife to be with him. He was becoming more and more lenient with his wife's worldly ways, and it costed him his marriage. So before we get on Megan Good, which we not going to give her a pass, but Pastor Devin Franklin kept bending the rules. Instead of him having his wife to comply with following the Christianity lifestyle, what he was doing was allowing her worldly lifestyle to fit into his Christianity lifestyle. And it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work. And I think not only he was concerned about his marriage, I think Devin Franklin was concerned about his image. What pastor wants the church to know he's having trouble in his marriage, or his own wife is not willing to put in the work to better the marriage? It's embarrassing. I think it's his ego, his image, his attitude of I'm not one to lose. I don't want to lose. I don't want like a failure. How can I teach the people of God how to have a successful marriage and my marriage is in trouble? A lot of pastors get caught up in this. Men and women in the ministry end up staying together for miserable reasons, all because they want to preserve their image. Devin Franklin, he kept bending, conforming his lifestyle to Megan Good's worldly ways. She was not ready. Look at the way she was dressed. The type of scenes she agreed to do in the movies. They can't force her to do that. She knew what role she was getting. She saw what she was going to have to do in the scenes, and she went along with all of that. You know why? She was not ready for his world. Now, this doesn't take away from him being a good husband, doesn't take away from him being a good pastor, but he was not equally yoked with the woman who had the same desire of living for God like he did. Why? Because he went by how pretty she was. Felt like she's young, we got babies, we got a family. She didn't give him none of that. In a sense, I'm glad she didn't. Now, this is the opportunity for him to meet someone who really does share his same love for God and wants to live like he does for God. So it's not necessarily a lose situation. It's just that, you know, a lot of good men think they are automatically entitled to having a good woman. And it's the same thing. Good women think they are automatically entitled to a good man. But guess what? We don't get to decide if we're good enough. If you ask anybody, do they think they're a good man or a good woman? Most people off their own merit are going to say, well, I feel like I'm a good man. Well, what makes you a good man? I work, I provide, I take care of family. Well, I'm a good woman. What makes you a good woman? You know, I cook, I clean. All of these things, we all know. It's very rarely is somebody going to say, I know I'm an ain't shit dude. I will not work. I will cheat on you. I have multiple children from other women. I will make your life miserable. There's not a woman that's going to say, oh, I will put you in debt. I'm going to make your life miserable by just giving you a bunch of goddamn kids that you got to take care of. Nobody's not going to really tell you their bad qualities. That is stuff you have to learn along the way. So just because Devin Franklin seems like a wonderful guy, you don't know what Megan probably had to deal with him. Maybe he was too stern on certain things. Maybe he was stubborn with certain things, trying to make her be something. Who's to say she didn't express to him, I don't want to do this. This is not something I want to do. Who's to say he wasn't one of those husbands? Well, we got to pray on it. We got to keep praying and working on it. He may be one of those men that are very stubborn. He's so used to holding this upstanding reputation that he doesn't like to lose. She probably told him several times, I'm not feeling this. I don't want to do this. I know, baby, but we can keep praying. God is going to see us through. He may be one of those guys. He uses God as a tool to deflect off of the reality. Because you got some people like that. Well, we just got to pray. We just got to fast for 20 days for God to bring us together. He may be so religified to the point he'd rather use God, and there's nothing wrong with that, but he's so in tune with God that he's not focusing on the reality that your wife is miserable with you. And we cannot let Megan off the hook, because if she knew she wasn't going to be 100% in this, she shouldn't have waited 9 years when this man could have been had a family, could have been had children. So they both robbed each other of time, but it's not a completely lost. No one else is going to get affected by this. That's the good news. There's no children. Nobody's going to get affected by this. He didn't lose no money. So he's good. Megan's good. She's not trying to sue him or counter sue him for any spousal support. They are good. So everybody just need to get off Megan and Devon Franklin. Get off their balls. These are grown people. She didn't go dig. She didn't take his money. She didn't end up with the house. None of that. It was clean cut. She just wanted out. That's the best grown woman damn thing to do. Leave a man alone. Don't make his life miserable. Don't add a bunch of goddamn kids to the equation so you can get that 18-year lotto bid. Just leave the man alone if you know you're going to make him miserable. That's what she did. She didn't show up to the court proceedings because she wanted to be over. For that, I give her respect. And for that, I give Devin Franklin respect. Neither one of them trashed each other in the media so far. They didn't drag each other. They wishing each other the best. That's called being a grown-ass man and grown-ass woman. So as I stated, everybody's not fit to be a first lady. Everybody can't do it. You could dress the part, look the part. You have to be willing to commit to a man who lives for God, and you have to be willing to live for God as a woman. So anyway, y'all, leave y'all comment below. Let me know what y'all think about this. Do y'all think Megan is the main reason this marriage failed? Do you think that Devon Franklin also played a part in it? He was trying to make a trophy wife, a woman of God. And no matter what he did, he could not tame, the Jezebellishness. That's not even the word. The Jezebellishness. He wasn't able to conquer that. Anyway, y'all, leave y'all comment below. Please make sure before y'all leave, hit that like button for me. Other than that, also, don't forget, y'all, I'm selling cable, 9,000 channels, only $25 a month. If you're interested, guys, don't forget, I got my beard oil, $10 a bottle. Please support the movement. Also, ladies, I'm selling my hair stimulator, follicle hair oil, $10 a bottle as well. If y'all decide to get 2 bottles, I will knock off another $5. It'll be $15 if you rather do the 2 hair oils or the 2 beard oils or 1 hair oil and 1 beard oil either. I will knock off another $5. So if you're interested, just email me and I will hook you up. So anyway, this is your girl Yativa and Knowledge Lady Mocha, represent Mocha's Cafe de Paris. This is my double shot, meaning I have done 2 contents and 1 day. So be on the lookout, y'all. I got many more content, many more recipes coming up soon. Y'all be blessed. Take care.